Okay, let's call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carla, if you'll take the roll, please.
Michael Hankins. Robert Mueller.
Here.
Kathleen Walsh.
Here.
Mary Beth Ferguson.
Here.
Joe Rescher. We have a quorum.
I'd like to welcome Mary Beth to the commission, most recently appointed member. So we're now at full strength for the first time in a while. Okay, approval of the agenda. I think you have it in front of you. I'll entertain, there are no additions. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mary Beth, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The minutes of the previous meeting are included in your packet.
If there aren't any changes or amendments, I make a motion to approve the previous minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Financial report, assume it's included in your packet. The first part of the lodging tax receipts by month through October, and these are the actual what the city receives in the month. That doesn't mean they're not really balanced because some people pay quarterly, some pay monthly, and Pam usually goes back. They have to report each month when they finally pay them, even if quarterly. So she goes back, and we'll end up with a report that shows it month by month, not just as it's collected, but as it actually occurred. So you can see at the end of fiscal year 2014, we were down a little bit from the previous year, almost $1,000 or $1,200. Nope, take that $1,400 in terms of receipts. And just looking at October, not quite as good as last year or 2013. But again, you can see like back in 2012, there was only $592. That's one of those timing issue things. Then we have the transactions. We paid Lamar Companies in October. That was in 2013. We need to go to the back here. So there's really been no debits in the last
Since August.
since August when we paid Madden Media.
That was the iBrochure.
Right. I don't really remember. Do we have to approve the financial?
Yes.
Okay. So since the last meeting, there's been no transactions other than income being put into, or credits being put into the account.
Actually, the last meeting was July.
Oh, was it July?
Yeah.
So we did have
There
that
have been
19.
transactions.
Okay.
Mike just called, said that he was on a long-distance call, could not be interrupted, he's on his way.
Okay, thank you. Okay, entertain a motion to approve the financial report.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the advertising on the billboards. We've had it for 2 years now. The question is, do we want to continue that for another year?
I say absolutely yes. I get wonderful and frequent feedback from people who really didn't intend to get off the highway, and then they saw those billboards, and I'd be in favor of having a couple coming north too, because not everybody comes from St.
south.
Louis.
Going south.
I'm going south, I'm sorry.
Yep.
People come from Chicago and take the 270 bridge there at JB and come down. And so they're not all just departing from St. Louis an hour away. I'd like to have them going southbound too. I think they work.
I think we looked at one time, there was someone had looked at available ones. The problem was, that again, it was that one that was very close to 32,
Yes.
and you have to make instantaneous decisions, which doesn't seem to work.
What
I have some information that may be pertinent here.
Okay.
In the last minutes, the July meeting, I'm sorry.
Hold on. When you asked me to call Sue this morning, this is what she told me.
You have information about the Steiger billboard, maybe?
Yes, the
Okay.
one that, as you are going southbound on the right-hand side, right now it says Steiger and St. Genevieve Winery. It's been there for a long time, it's a little outdated. I've gotten a quote from the owner of the sign, who's actually, Steiger's owns that sign, so it's not like one of the billboard companies that, charge an arm and a leg. We can rent that sign from Steiger's for $2,200 for a year, if we pay for a year up front and we get a cash discount. I've also gotten a quote from a vinyl company that would do a new vinyl for us, install it, and the whole thing for just under $1,000. So if we wanted to nab that, and Steiger's has been very patient in waiting because, we haven't had
Would it be the whole thing or just a half of it?
the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah, the whole
yes.
thing would be, St. Genevieve, exit,
Yeah.
et cetera, so.
I definitely would be in favor of that.
I apologize, I was on a long-distance family problem,
We understand.
and we've got several in hospitals.
Oh, sorry.
Mike, I was just they were just talking about the billboards issue on the agenda, and is this the, and remember at the last meeting, we had talked about the availability of the Steiger, this is the meeting dating back to June. We had talked about the availability of that southbound billboard that's just immediately after the OODD exit, and it's owned by Steiger's. Right now, it says half of it is Steiger's Jewelers, half of it is St. Genevieve Winery. Steiger's has given us a quote if we want to rent that billboard for a full year and make the whole thing the design of our choice for advertising, get off at these exits for St. Genevieve. It would be $2,200, including a $200 cash discount if we pay it up front. So, and then I also contacted two vinyl companies to find out what it would cost us to get new vinyl for that sign, and we can get new vinyl for it for just under $1,000. So if we wanted to do that, basically for $3,200 investment, we would have a full year of a southbound lighted billboard there.
And
We
just-
can look at other ones too, but that one's a
Yeah,
sure thing.
yeah. I had, before you came in, I said, I think the billboards are working extremely well, maybe even better than we thought when we put them up. I get a lot of people that mention the billboard, and I don't put words in their mouth, they just mention, how did you get here? Or why did you come here, or, whatever. And I think they're really working well, and I'd be in favor of getting the Steiger one and then one north of that.
Yeah, I asked people at the cafe the same thing. There's a lot of them said they see the billboard.
There's probably rules against this, but I'll bring it up anyway, so you can tell me if there are rules against it. But in my past, I would have been very lucky to have more of a cooperative. I would support a percentage of the sign if one of my customers supported a percentage of the sign. Is it possible that through this, and we'll use the Audubon for a restaurant, or or the Southern Hotel. If the Southern Hotel or the B&Bs had one, and it would be kind of co-supported by just Historic St. Genevieve, is there ever a possibility to do sort of a cost sharing between the private and the public sector and the cost of that? And then you can stretch your dollars and also have, specific destinations along the road. So if you wanted to do, if there was a $500 monthly charge and it promoted your business, but it promoted St. Genevieve in addition, maybe there would be a cost sharing of that. Is that ever a possibility? Because we would get many more facings for the same amount of dollars.
Possibly, but I would think that, and I'm not speaking for the B&Bs, but all the money we have to spend is from their lodging tax. So in essence, they're paying for everything already.
Well, I would say that if we can, this sign is not the huge,
No,
standard
yeah.
billboard. This one, the dimensions on it are 12 high by 24 wide. So my recommendation would be we make this one exclusively St. Genevieve as the destination. And then if we get one of the larger ones, from a commercial billboard company, maybe that would be the time to look at that possibility.
Is there a way to shrink what we have on the northbound billboards?
I think we need to talk about.
We're going to probably redesign something specific for this.
Yeah.
Because we would have redesigned those northbound ones in 2015 anyway.
Okay.
So we'll start that process probably with this
Joe,
board.
one of the things that we do is when Sandra books print advertising, a lot of times businesses also take out advertising and we get an overall deal. I'm not sure there's many businesses here that could stand a $500 a month
Billboard fee.
billboard fee right now. So, I mean, if you talk about an individual business being on the billboard, it's a little more difficult.
Well, there's
Doesn't say
also the
can't.
possibility that if we can get one of those large commercial billboards southbound, in addition to this one that we're talking about now, if we can get one of those, half the battle is getting on their book so that when it's up for renewal next, it becomes yours, and then you can keep renewing it like you've been doing on those ones south of here. So you could start under one scenario and then change that scenario when you change your vinyl, maybe. Just a thought. The other thing that we do on the other ones is put those tag-ons at the top that say about whatever the next signature event is that's coming up, we'll put a tag on.
Well, $500 a month is not realistic, because you're not paying that much for a billboard. That's $500 a month times 10 is $5,000. We're not paying $5,000 for any of the billboards we have right now per year. So, I don't believe, which would be $6,000. You see what I'm saying? So that's unrealistic. But what Joe is asking is,
We're doing 5,700.
that's a year.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well-
But are you talking about it for just a month?
Yeah, but I mean, what Joe is asking is there any opportunity or a possibility of us partnering with Downtown Renewal, the French Colonial, the B&B Association, anybody, and we wouldn't possibly partner with them for more than what we would be paying for a billboard. So he's asking, okay, could it be possible that we partnered with some association for, say, $200 or $250, and we picked up the other $250?
Did you mean association or an attraction?
It doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter. He just says there's a possibility of partnering with some other entity.
Would you do that with like we're doing with the banner, something that's just
Yeah.
up for, is it up for the entire year, or is it up for a month, or?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, and the problem with the banner is it goes up, comes down, and that's why we're charged so much for it. In other words, they're paying $250 for it to be up 3 weeks or a month or maybe 2 months. Where he was saying, okay, $50 a month to somebody
To have their.
to have their name somewhere on there or something. And so the question is not, I believe the question is it legal for us to do it? Is it a possibility for us to do it? Is that your question?
Yep.
Okay.
I can't,
I wouldn't think it's illegal to go halvesies or thirdsies or something with anybody, but it would be easy enough to get an opinion on that.
I think where the legality comes is whether the city would be willing for us to join in with someone else.
Well, we kind of do it with the banners, because those are other legal entities like Jure de Fête, I don't know,
Yeah.
Rural
Sure.
Heritages do.
And they just pay theirs directly,
Yeah.
their check is made payable to
Yeah,
the billboard company.
Right.
Sometimes it's actually a check from St. Genevieve Tourism because depending on where they choose to use their allocation, sometimes they use it on that.
So we just need to check to see if that's a legal thing we could do. And
now let me ask a question. In one of our previous meetings, which was a long time ago, it was brought up that the last billboard before you get off at 32 was available. Well, I think I called about it, and it was, but I can't remember what the price was for that one.
I just think that one's way too close to the exit.
Well, I'd rather see us buy one that's in a better location. The one that Steiger owns is not a good location.
Because it's kind of down
And
the
to
valley.
pay $3,200, $3,500 for a sign that's in a poor location, I think you can get one of the signs southbound further away. Now, I know that it has to be somewhere from when you leave Crystal City Festus, otherwise they're going to forget you. And the one that pops up all the time is that one that's right near, used to say, do the walk in Cape and things like that. That one pops up quite often.
New Madrid.
Or New Madrid, that's it, the one that says, see, I've already forgotten who it was. It was, Cape did do it, and now New Madrid's doing it, and it has also had advertising for some community for their houses and that. But
Also,
those are,
when you get below the Festus Crystal City, the pricing changes.
Correct.
yes,
And it's like when you get north of Cape Girardeau, the pricing changes.
yes,
There's about a 30-mile window in there that you're paying different pricing.
Well,
So-
that's why our prices are so much higher on the Drury sign, $5,700 a year, than the Lamar, which is closer to St. Genevieve, $3,600.
yeah.
You know, if we could get a $3,600 sign on the right side coming south that's closer to the highway, I think that would probably be a better deal than this one down in the valley.
Well,
If-
I think this one has good visibility, and I think if we put an eye-catching sign on there, I mean, it's been kind of faded out for a while. I think that would be a good one to reinforce whatever we do with a larger sign, a larger and more expensive sign. I mean, it's going to be, my guess is it's going to be more than what your Drury Southwest one is, which is currently $5,700 a year. I'm guessing that the southbound 55 with the higher traffic count is going to be more than that. But we'll only know when we,
Well, the one that was at 32 was like $350 a month. I mean, that's when we had it.
which is comparable to, I see, back then,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's
So
a
that's
bigger sign.
comparable to the Lamar one that's down by
Yeah,
Ozora.
That's a 350, or it was 350. When we did own that sign, before Andy gave it up. And I would, personally, my personal feeling is I would rather have a larger sign up instead of a smaller sign down low somewhere, because it attracts more attention. I mean, I look for that sign all the time that Steiger owns to see if he's ever added anybody to it. But I think it's too pricey for the location and where it is.
Can we take 1 month to see if there's any other available and do a price comparison? That would seem to me to be.
I'll make a motion, we table it until we get information on other signs.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
All in favor, or is it discussion? All in favor, say aye. Whoops.
Discussion, comment. Is it possible, Sandra, that you get back in contact with Steiger and say that we're working on it, and try and see it?
Yes, it just depends on how they
Hold
feel
on to
about
it.
waiting another month.
Yeah. If somebody's clamoring for it, I can see they're going to rent it. If nobody's clamoring for it, if you can tell them that we're still working on it.
Mhm.
That's all.
Let's put it to a vote. All in favor of tabling it for one, or to the next meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We'll, Mike, I guess we can work, we ought to do I know I'm going up that way, look and see what's available coming down, and then we'll have to get some pricing on signs.
Yeah, I can contact the two companies that we're working with right now and ask what they have that's available or will be available soon on the southbound side, someplace between the Highway 67 cutoff and 00DD. Well, or do we want to take it down to Highway O? I don't think there's anything in between there anyway.
Again, I think if you're getting to O, you're getting very, very close. Now, there's also left side signs. And
Well, they're still southbound.
yeah, and I know we have both one on the right and one on the left coming
Northbound.
northbound.
There's one, and I don't know what's on it right now, but there's one on the left-hand side, southbound, that seems to change frequently. Sometimes it was like donate your car to Goodwill, and that'd be up for a while, but there's one that revolves quite a bit.
And when there's
It's a double
elec-
also, isn't it?
Pardon me?
Is that one the double?
Yes, yes.
Is it?
Well, they'll have
Does Donnie
certain
have that
signs.
one now?
They'll have certain signs dedicated to rotational signs. And so they'll have some that are 2 or 3 year contracts.
Oh,
And then they'll have signs that are based on a rotational agreement. And so that may be one of those signs, and that's why you see rapid changes maybe every 6 months. And those are 2 different sort of contracts.
Okay. And I don't think Stoney's is that sign.
That's the
I
one.
I wouldn't swear to that, but I don't think so.
Well, I know the new Madrid changes. I mean, their picture is different than it was on the new
Oh.
Madrid.
Well, they probably pay a little bit more for them to change the vinyl. They expect you to keep the vinyl for 2 to 3 years.
I think ours has held up pretty well
Yeah,
on the northbound, just looking at them.
yeah.
Okay, I guess, Sandra, we can work with you to get some pricing for what's available.
I've already got it written down.
Okay, anything else on advertising?
Well, one of the other things that I was looking into, and if we're going to have a meeting in a month, maybe we can just wait, but, last year at this time, we did a series of television commercials during the slow months, and so I contacted 2 stations in St. Louis to ask them, about availability on a smaller package, just maybe $5,000 for a package in January, February timeframe. So that's one possibility that maybe we can look at when we get back together to talk about the sign, if you don't want to.
Do we have sufficient, we can use the same commercials, some of the same commercials? we
They
have?
would need to be refreshed. I'm actually running last year's holiday Christmas festival, which was the very first ad that we ran. We're going to refresh that and do a small package with them for December through the tourism budget. But something big like this, like a $5,000, would have to go through the larger budget.
What's the cost for redoing or refreshing those videos?
They don't, they just incorporate it into, it's included in that package.
Oh, okay.
Sandra,
So
let me give you a name of somebody with Fox Channel 2.
Would that be Charlie Silberg?
Yeah.
I already have
You have
communicated with
Charlie,
him.
It's my nephew.
I have, yes, I did
Yeah,
know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got a quote from him
The
as well.
Rosers are every place.
Charlie and I have talked.
Yeah, he would be able to find some cost-effective, buying those off packages too. And, yeah, he's committed to St. Genevieve too, probably uniquely committed, so, good.
The other thing I just wanted to bring up was that we have discussed previously about the Missouri Welcome Center affiliate program, which would put more signage on the highway. And just once again, for the committee's consideration, that is $8,000 for the north and southbound official welcome center. And then we talked about 2 trailblazers, which are the smaller, about 4 feet wide, maybe a foot tall, and those are $1,200 each. So,
That seems to be a lot of money for just advertising the Welcome Center. Do they have an attraction sign, the big one that you put the little rectangular signs on? Where we could just have, a Welcome Center? Can we say that?
well, I mean, we could. I don't think that's I don't know that, I mean, the idea was to have the large signage on the interstate to drive people towards St. Genevieve, kind of like how they have the Felix Valley State Historic Site, a large sign like that, showing that this is, a destination of significance, I guess you would say. If what you're suggesting is,
It was a thought. I mean,
yeah,
that's, I know over a period of years, it's probably, $1,250 a year. I think we said something like that, over 10 years.
it's 10 years, yeah.
This is a quick question, and I want to ask, and once again, I apologize. A lot of these are long-term, sort of, within the advertising scheme of things. There's a lot of short-term opportunities. I'll just mention, I was this morning visiting with a group of people because of tomorrow's football game. And there'll be hundreds of people coming in, and also the football team the visiting football team is staying in Farmington. Do we miss those opportunities by not being proactive on those short-term sort of activities? That if we have a football team with 60 people coming in, they're staying, I think, at Tradition Inn, but,
What football game are you talking
a
about?
Valley football game tomorrow.
Oh,
And so these are short-term opportunities that can fill
Semifinals.
rooms, can
I
fill the
don't follow
rooms
high
pretty
school.
quickly. And also, in the same vein, is knowing that these people will be coming in, and there could be a variety of different things. I'm just using the most recent example. That as a group that we take an ad out in their paper as soon as they know they're coming to promote, our B&Bs and our restaurants, and, come in early, stay late, be here for this activity. And, because these things are happening all the time in St. Genevieve, but it's a short-term call to action, sort of. I'm just posing that as a question. Because,
Well, we've put together, like a small briefing paper that lists restaurants and venues and things like that. It's working it out with the school so that they can get it in to where they're sending, and it's all football games and band concerts and stuff like that.
But let's just use the example for tomorrow's game. Was that school contacted about staying in St. Genevieve? Because the state pays for it. And so that would be the question. As soon as somebody finds out they're coming, are we contacting them and saying, please consider St. Genevieve?
Who's the person that you would contact that finds out that another school's coming? Somebody at the school?
Yeah, I would call that visiting school. As soon as the game ends, you're on the phone right away to their athletic director or their lead administrator saying, would you please consider staying in St. Genevieve? It could be, it would probably fill the microtel. And then also, everybody else, it's a 4-hour drive, they're going to stay. But are they going to stay in St. Genevieve? So I'm just posing
That would
as a-
require some communication on the school's part to inform us about,
Yeah, because there's no way she's going to know.
I don't have time. to be contact the
The
elements.
community knows the moment the game is over. You know, that's not that hard of information to find out.
Misha's website has the,
Yeah.
as soon as the game and the scores are updated, they've got
It's done.
who's going to the next, who's
It's done.
going to the next round.
Yeah, I'm posing it as just as a question because that takes place all year long on different activities.
It has been a little difficult even getting into the regularly scheduled season, much less the postseason.
How do you mean that?
I mean, getting the schools,
Those schedules come out 4 months in advance.
So you're saying we need a volunteer? Because you can't expect
No, anybody,
We
yeah,
need somebody to volunteer that their children are playing in these games that says, okay, we won Kirkwood, our next one is going to be here with the SMET. And so you want to contact the SMET.
ask them. I mean, yeah.
That's not a bad idea, the only thing is that you need a volunteer that's going to do, that connected with both Valley and St. Genevieve.
Yeah, I mean.
And basketball's another big one.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I mean, I don't know that it would be somebody that would necessarily have to be connected to Valley and St. Gen because.
Just a volunteer that would do that.
I mean, it's not, for the postseason, it's not that hard, but you already have the whole schedules that come out in June, for those things. So it's not, those kind of things are not hard. This time of year is a little bit more difficult because it is, you're like, you're going to progress or not progress.
When you say they're staying at the Tradition Inn in Farmington, does that mean like they have a whole bus of parents and players?
I'm just talking about the whole team and coaching staff and managers and the whole group. And so if Valley travels, and, that's small, but it would probably be 60 people, just that group, that the state pays for it, so,
The state pays for the parents to stay?
no, for the team.
But if the team is staying there,
Parents are staying
parents are
there.
going to stay there too.
Exactly.
And they'll all be staying in Farmington.
Yeah.
Well, we only have, as we all know, one group accommodation here. So,
Get as many as you can.
Yeah.
I mean, we could, I could be wrong, but I know how you feel about wedding groups, and I can't
No,
imagine.
we don't have any problem with
football
those, with
players
football groups.
being-
Wedding groups are the strangest thing that there is.
Yeah.
And for some of the champions.
Bridezilla.
Bridezilla. Some of the championships games that we had in the past, like in basketball, we had the parents stay with us. For the Yanks field and for those things, we never get them. They drive here, and they don't care if they're driving from Kansas. They're going to go back home.
Sure, that's how
But-
parents with kids are.
That's for the younger kids, but for football and basketball, it's another story. They would stay. But you have to somehow attract them.
Well, so one thing we can do, Joe, to your point, is when that schedule is out in June, if someone, we could probably get all the addresses, I mean, we already have all the addresses of the elementary schools because of, we send out packets to inform them about St. Genevieve. We could get all the addresses of all the high schools, public and private, send them information with a cover sheet. I mean, basically, we could just send them 60 copies of the visitor's guide and a cover sheet and say, please share this with your parents. Is that what you're?
No, it's going to happen the moment, these are like, the season is local. The season is local. The postseason is travel. The local ones are Park Hills or Farmington or Festus or Perryville. They're going home. But the postseason is where you need to focus on.
What were you saying about the schedule coming out in June then?
When
That's
Bob-
the local.
Yeah, Bob, that could be restaurant kind of marketing or something like that. But Bob said we don't find out the schedules. Well, the high school schedules are put out a year in advance, but the postseason is where people will travel from, and those are the people that would be staying in town.
Right, because they're
you know.
sectional or
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah, so. But I was just disappointed when this team was staying in Farmington.
Right. and they're shopping and eating in Farmington.
Yes, and so I'm sure that Farmington called them.
Or sent something up there, or sent a person up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're elected.
I second that motion.
All right, that's why I'm leaving. I wouldn't mind serving in that role. I think it would be both fun and cost-effective. Doesn't cost anything to call somebody.
Do we have election yet?
No.
Don't leave till we have election.
If you're not
You
here.
might, you might have an office if you don't stay.
I'm saying, Louis, don't
Can we
put me
table
under
this,
pressure.
can we table advertisement for a minute and go to that?
Yeah.
Because he's gonna.
We have 4 positions, chairman, I guess, vice.
President, vice president,
President,
secretary,
vice
and
president.
treasurer.
Okay, so those are the 4.
President, vice president, and then you have to, by law, you still have to do a secretary treasurer, even they don't have anything, so that's one position.
Oh, so secretary treasurer is one?
It can be,
Okay,
yes.
It
Can
can
be.
be one, okay.
Always be one, yeah, we always had it as one.
Okay.
Do we have any nominations for, I guess, the start?
I have a question before we go into that. What are the time limits on Kathy and myself?
Mike, you expire in May of 15, and Kathy is February of 16, but that is Kathy's first
First term.
term, because you were replacing Jack.
Yeah.
And
Did
that
you
would
say
be
May
May of 2015,
16? Who was the 16?
Kathy.
Kathy,
In
but she still can be
But she has
reappointed for another 3
February.
years.
But she has another term after this one.
Yeah,
Are you done then in 15?
I'm done.
Okay.
What do you mean you're done?
You can,
You can
By law, I can only serve 2
Consecutive.
continuous 3-year terms.
Right.
Well, then, how many terms there? Just the terms, I can only serve 2 terms, and then I'm off the board. And I served 2 terms previously, and then I was off, and then I served 1 term, and then I came back on, and I served these 2 terms.
Right.
But I can't be back on, and I have to be off, somebody else has to take my place.
Can you be advisor emeritus?
state law dictates.
Yes, I
I better
apologize
talk
for
to the
leaving.
CEO before I accept something like
I
that.
was just thinking about
Some,
the E
Yeah,
CEO.
yeah.
subservient role, I'd be more than happy to.
We're all
To
subservients.
do that.
Subservient.
Also, for the group, for those of you who haven't toured the new banquet center, we just did the walkthrough and punch list today. I would love to give you all a tour of that. I think, there's so many positive things going on, the more information that we have. So if you ever want to walk through, just give me a call. Let me give you.
Do we have a name yet?
I believe it's going to be called the DeBerg Center.
So what's in it?
DeBerg.
DeBerg.
Because it's DeBerg Place. It's kind of a bent one. You have one.
Actually, it's
I have
on
your-
Merchant Street, so it ought to be Merchant Place.
Well, you tell Bishop DeBerg that. I'm not going to hell with that.
Thanks for coming.
See you guys.
In a perfect world, we'd call it the Mayor Grimminger Center.
Yeah. Okay, so do we have any nominations? You've had more experience in doing this. How do you?
Well, you just open the nominations for president.
Okay.
And then you make the nominations for president, and then you can either close that one and vote on that one, or you can open all of them and vote on all of them at one time. So you're acting president right
I
now,
will
so.
open nominations for president.
Question,
Yes.
can nominees only be people who are currently seated on the commission?
Yeah, yes, you have to understand, this is chartered by the state of Missouri. It was voted on by the citizens of St. Genevieve City only. And so it has to be one of the 5 commissioners that's appointed. Now, when I come off the board, they'll have to find somebody in the lodging industry to take my place, because it stipulates where these people are
This
from.
comes out of Missouri revised statutes.
It's a revised statute of Missouri statute, and it's specifically for the city of St. Genevieve. It's
Is-
written for us.
If I may ask him a question,
You can't ask me anything.
would you consider accepting a nomination for a president again to run through the end of your term, and then we would have another election for a president, or the vice president would step in?
So you're talking through
May.
May?
Yeah, I would,
In that
but I don't
case,
know that I should.
We just got a lot on all the burners going right now, that's the only thing.
It's up
From now
to-
till May, we'll make it work.
Okay, it's up to you all on that. I don't.
if the nominations are open, then I nominate Mike Hankins for president.
Till May,
Pardon?
till May.
Yes, to the end of his term.
Yeah, okay.
Is there a second? Or any other nominations? To entertain a motion to close nominations for president?
So moved.
Second,
All approved?
and there's one, I'll accept.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you just
We have
said.
to close the nominations, and we had a motion and a second, so I need to, all in favor of closing the
Aye.
nominations?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Open nominations for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Bob for vice president.
I would second that.
Any other nominations? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to close nomination for vice president.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I guess then we have to elect we need all in favor of me being vice president?
Yeah. Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Does get a little crazy. Okay, what do we need now? We need a
Secretary Treasurer.
Yeah.
I nominate Mary Beth.
I'm not going to be secretary.
No,
You don't do
no.
anything.
There's none.
No.
You don't do anything.
Everything
The only thing you
on-
have to do is make sure that.
She takes
we
the
take care
minutes.
of
Carla
that.
takes the minutes. You
I
don't
take
do
the minutes.
anything.
You don't
So
do
the
anything.
only
It's what we
And the
talked about
treasurer.
before. You just hit the
The
button and
treasurer
run
is
the
actually
printout.
Sue. Sue is our treasurer.
Sue handles handling financial report. for the
Mhm.
city.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll accept.
Are there any
Well,
other
I Make a
nominations?
motion that I second the motion. First and second.
Well, we have to close the nominations.
I move the nominations be closed.
I second it.
Okay. All those in favor of Mary Beth being Secretary of Treasurer indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. So that has our slate of officers
Yeah.
for the,
Now, we're supposed to have a person that joins us from the aldermans,
liaison.
a liaison person, but we
We are
haven't had one for a long time.
I thought it was Beth. I'm pretty sure it is.
I think it is Beth,
It is.
because she's appointed to both the
Yes, the
advisory
Tourism
council
Advisory
and to
Council
this.
As a liaison.
All right. So that.
Okay,
And
so
that's who I sent the packet
Let's-
to.
Yes,
we're back in the same surprise situation again with the time of the meeting. Beth was there the other night, she sat next to me, okay? And what we did was have the meeting at 5:30. And we had everybody, and people I forgot were on, like Sarah, showed up.
Yeah.
So if Beth is the liaison, and I
And we have it
personally.
during coffee hour.
everybody
Yeah.
that's on the committee, this committee is on the other committee
Right.
also. The only problem is we were butting up against
The
landmarks. Yeah.
But, should we be here more than an hour and a half?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
ours should only last an hour.
So
Or less.
I think we
Yes,
should
fine.
consider moving our meeting to 5:30, like the advisory council meeting is, so that we can get Beth's participation.
We have a problem, where we scheduled the Tourism Advisory Committee, that was at 5:30.
It was at 5:30 on
At
December
7
15th.
o'clock,
is landmarks
Is landmarks
on that Monday.
on that Monday. So that's,
Well, he's saying, you're not suggesting putting it after TLC.
No, I'm not suggesting
You're just saying
back to
pick a
back.
night,
Okay.
5:30.
Different night.
Yeah.
What's available?
Tuesdays are available. Wednesdays are usually available.
are Tuesdays available across the board? I mean,
Could you
I'm
do
just
it
wondering
the
if we-
night
I mean,
before
pretty
the Alderman meeting? Because I have to
Yeah,
be
because
here
planning and zoning
once
is
a
on
month for an
Mondays.
Alderman
What day is
meeting.
that?
It has worked well in the past when we've all had it on Friday at the same time. I mean, you only have to come up here once. I'm just trying to figure out, is there a time that we could do TAC followed by a TTC meeting? We really don't have a lot of business all the time with the TTC.
Wednesdays, the fourth Wednesday of the month is bad for me, because with Port Authority, we go back and forth from Perryville. So one month I'd be sitting here and wouldn't have to get up, and the next month I'd be in Perryville at 5:30.
Carla, is it always the second Alderman meeting when department heads do staff reports? So
What
that's
night is
on a
that?
Thursday night at 7 o'clock, and I always just hang around the office anyway. So maybe a 5:30?
Unless there's a work session.
Well, that's
The board
true.
can call a work session anytime and they'll start at 6.
Yeah.
So there's no way you'd be able to be out of here in half an hour.
Well, let me ask you, the landmarks meets on
Mondays,
Monday?
yes, the third Monday.
What about the second Monday?
Second Monday is 5 o'clock is,
Is it park board?
no, flooding district. Meets here at 5.
Why did we choose Monday over Tuesday?
Yeah.
With,
What's on
TAC?
Tuesdays?
There's nothing on Tuesdays. I don't know why that was selected.
Well, why don't we switch to Tuesday night?
So we have,
Because this meeting we just had was on Tuesday night. We had a full quorum
yeah,
and.
And then if we're going to hold a TAC, we could have it after, because we don't always have a meeting, but we can hold it afterwards.
right. And I think that would work best, because again, all members of this are all members of.
All of these are there, not all of
Yeah.
them are here, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
You're saying hold a TAC after?
no, before. TAC on Tuesdays at 5:30, then
And
when
then
they're
the tax
done.
commission
then we have
TTC
the
right
tax
afterwards.
commission.
Because that was the problem that Kathy had mentioned, is getting that many people here that
Yeah.
late. And if you if you move the TAC to after that, then it wouldn't work. 'Cause then-
Unless they're all here anyway.
Unless they're out here
Which they
anyway.
wouldn't be.
Well, they
Because
would be.
there's more on the advisory council than.
No, then all those would be here, and all the TTC are part of that group.
I understand that.
So we would be.
So are you saying are we saying the same thing?
We say we start 5:30 on Tuesday.
The
For the
TAC.
TAC.
Okay, then we're
To
saying
be
the same
followed
thing.
by the TTC.
Okay.
Because then half of the people will be able
Time
to leave, and the 5 of us will stay in if we
Yeah,
have
the only
to
one that
meet.
doesn't come is Joe.
Right.
And he only has, he
He'd
can
have to
come to
come
the
just for
first one,
that.
but he
Yeah.
doesn't have to, but he
Yeah.
can come to the second one.
But is
And
there
then
a
Beth
time
can
limit
be-
set? We have a lodging that we operate, and people check in the evening is the only thing. And we never know when they're going to be.
Is it, well, if,
Are Tuesdays, do you
No,
have?
Tuesday's not that bad.
If you have a Tuesday, then
Yeah,
it's not.
but our meeting that I would have to come to would be basically at 7 o'clock. And that would, I mean, I could still come to the other one, but I'd have to be at this one at 7. That would be
Or
all right.
earlier.
That would be all right, or earlier.
Well, I mean, and if
Well,
you
you could
set a
schedule it.
time, like we had on
You
the
have to
previous
start it
Friday
at that
meetings,
time.
at 9:30 and then at 11, then if you've got a time.
Yeah, you have to start it at that time, otherwise sunshine law comes into effect. You haven't informed the people that you started early, and they
Exactly.
couldn't be here.
Exactly.
I think that's fine for us to come after your meeting, but this next one is going to be on a Monday.
Right.
But
And
then-
we won't be able to do it, and we may not have business. We may have to schedule this one as a separate meeting.
Right.
But we'll have to go back to the TAC and say, let's do it on Tuesday nights instead of Monday nights.
Okay,
And then with the goal
all right.
of making it successive.
We can
meetings.
schedule ours on Tuesday. We can schedule ours anytime we want. We're not set to a particular
Right.
time. So we can do that.
Nor do you have to have it monthly, I don't think.
Don't have to have it
Whereas
monthly.
TAC has to be, is
Yeah.
by,
Yeah,
okay,
we only have to have a quarterly meeting,
okay,
which we haven't had.
okay, so you.
Now, let's go back to the advertisement, and let's talk about the financing of it. we still have, in all probability, one more year on the two boards going north, which is about $9,300. Okay? And I'm looking at the fact that we have 2,300, but out of that, 23,000, but out of that 23,000, we still owe her 7,500, at least, if not more,
For projects.
for projects that has to come out of. How much do we owe you out of that?
Is
Besides
that out of
75?
last year's
Don't
money?
we owe you something else?
This is a continuing one. It's not, it's just that those projects are still open. We haven't been invoiced for them. So
Yeah.
when we're invoiced for them, we'll
Right.
pay the bill. But I think you're right.
I think it was about right at
It was
7,500.
7,500. I know we changed, we made a vote to change it in like January or something, not the one you just approved. I don't think, in the minutes you just approved, I don't think it was in that minutes. But I know we made a motion to raise it a little bit.
Right.
So, and I think we also approved an additional 250 for the banner on something, on advertisements for the newspaper or for,
Oh, I know what you mean, Belleville News Democrat.
yeah. So I'm thinking like, it could be, say, 7750, okay? Something like that. So if we take that out of the picture, okay, that's out of last year's budget. And we obviously look at the fact that over the period of time here, and if I just take the last 4 years, we're talking between $21,000 and $22,000 is the revenue. I'm hopeful that it'll come up a little bit, simply because of the time frame last year when we had poor attendance and
Weather.
Well, in February, you can see 2,200 to 1,300. And, December was down a little bit. But I'm hopeful that we'll come back up. But still thinking, okay, the average is between 21,000 and 22,000. We've already said, have we voted to, we didn't send in a budget, but have we voted to accept the billboards for the third year?
I thought we did, but I won't swear to that.
Well, the last meeting, it would be in these minutes here, which was in July. And I don't see it in the July.
Let me go get.
No, because one was just paid in January of last year and the other was paid in March. So I
Right, that's
think
when
you're
they come due.
approving them,
That's
I
when
think
they
you
come due.
approve them on an annual basis, not a budget cycle.
Right, we put cruise them on, and this is about the time we approve it because we may not have another meeting between now unless something comes up.
Is the price
Well, we're
going to be
planning.
the same, or is it?
Yeah, it'll be about the same, so, 9,300 is what it is. We kind of felt it would be 10,000, okay? So we said, okay, 10,000 for those two signs. So we've got that, and that's going to come out of the 22, so that's going to leave us 12,000 left, basically.
In existing funds.
In existing funds. Even, don't look at how much is in the bank, just think about what we would bring in that cycle. So, with 12,000 left, and she's trying to get a proposal on some additional short-term TV, which would probably be in the $5,000 to $6,000 category, would it not?
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
And so that would leave us $6,000.
I'm following you.
Okay, the
If she's following me, I must be doing it right.
7750 comes out of.
Yeah, that comes out of what this 23 is, so don't figure that, that's out of last year's. But I'm talking about this year's finance between October 1, for our budgeted year, October 1 into September 30th, that we will have come out basically somewhere around $9,000 to $10,000 for the billboards. We haven't approved any more money to her for anything, but we're talking about, she's wanting to do a TV commercial, which will be about a 6, so that's going to leave us about $6,000. Now, these are rough numbers, they're not in stone. So if you've got another 6,000, now that TV commercial is strictly for us. If you've got another, something that you want to do, you've got $6,000 to spend.
So if we want that southbound sign, that would be probably about 6,000.
A southbound sign would probably be in the neighborhood of what this one here is, just 57, so you might as well
Because
say
it's higher.
$6,000.
And it doesn't behoove us
No,
to
that
just
doesn't-
bank that money and earn interest on it.
Oh, you
We
don't
need
get
to
the
use it for,
Yeah.
You can
The
see
one
what the
thing
interest-
we-
Oh, yeah, I know.
The one thing we've always done is carried some, in the old days, it's what paid for, had the money up front to pay for the co-op match.
Correct.
And it's listed on the budget as the estimated emergency fund balance, and it's really.
Yes.
What, and it goes all the way back to the very beginning, and at the, like in 2013, there was about $29,000 in that. I don't know that it's going to come in as high as we think, because that $7,500 still has to come out of there.
Right.
And so you're going to probably decrease your emergency fund by that $7,500. If, you still got to figure that in there in terms
Right.
of all of our expenses. We
Right.
had this anticipated tax coming in
Right.
for the year, and we have the emergency fund. That's
Yeah, and
how much
that-
money.
I'm with you on that, and that's why I say we logically should only approve and allocate the 22, which gives us the 6 for that. We still have the emergency fund sitting there.
But it's going to go down, if you put the 7,500 out of it, or 7,750 out of that, it's going to be down to about 13,000.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's been,
Yeah.
Is the emergency fund in the balance forward amount?
Yes,
yeah.
Okay.
it's always in there.
I mean, the adopted budget says we're going to get in about 20,000. The emergency balance fund's about 20,000, and we're going to spend 20,150. So, I mean, that's the budget, because I guess that's what Sue put together, because we didn't submit something.
Yeah.
Well, I just told her to base it on what the
Yeah.
history had been. I mean, it wasn't that difficult.
Yeah. So, we still have the $6,000 to consider a southbound
Yeah.
sign, which is what we asked her to look into. And we still have enough in the emergency fund that if something comes up and it's not humongous, we can approve it in any other meeting.
I would not recommend taking that emergency fund down
I
to
wouldn't
really
either.
low numbers.
No, because you don't know what's going to happen.
And you, I think, Mike, you were headed in this direction earlier. At the end of January, we're going to be up for renewal on the Drury Southwest sign, which is $5,700,
And for
Plus-
the Lomar sign, too.
which is in March.
But
Which is
we're
in
also
March.
talking about a couple of thousand for new vinyl, wouldn't we? Because we talked about redoing the vinyl on those, or last year.
Yeah. Should we contact them and ask them?
I mean, if the vinyl looks good, I mean, we could make a decision to leave the vinyl up for the third year.
Well, you could renew it without, I mean, you could renew it in January and say, we'll tell you in June if we want to put up new vinyl. They're not going to tell you no.
yeah.
But whether it's covered or not in the contract would be the question. If the $5,700 last year was the second year you used the old vinyl,
Yeah.
It was.
And I think the first year, yeah, I'd have to ask Carla to go ask Sue to look it up, but I think the first year it was about $300 or $400 more,
which would make sense.
because they gave us a break on continuing to use the vinyl because it was still good.
Let me see if I can find
And I'm pretty sure that the same thing happened for the Lomar, that they gave us a break, because if I'm not mistaken, the two of them came together, it was about $11,000.
When you did the vinyl the first time.
The first vinyl the first time, and by paying it
So
off.
your renewal was only $9,300, but it was because you didn't have new
Yes,
vinyl to make.
Yes. So we save a little bit of money, and Bob's right, if the vinyl looks fairly good, maybe use it for the third year, and at that point, if we want to continue with the signs due to the fact that the public is paying attention to them and that we're getting feedback from the businesses, a new look would be the time to do it. And at that point, our emergency fund would be such that the $2,000 or $1,800 or whatever it is, the additional cost would be acceptable, because we're going down in the cost here. And I know they're not going to drop it any more than the $9,300. People are beginning to buy billboards again. And,
We've got the options already in place for the third year. We just
Yes.
have to exercise it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can exercise it in December. It gives us a month to look at the vinyls and see if they
Right.
still look good.
And the reason for that is, we're not allowed to do a contract, a full contract for 3 years.
Right, it has to go
1 year at a time
1 year at a time.
contract, right. But we do a 1-year contract with a 2-year option, and we do a 1-year contract with a 1-year option, and we just finish out the contract. But I think probably looking at it, in Bob's words was that if it looks pretty good, maybe we'll accept it as is for this next one. But I think, I would propose that we make a motion to accept the 2 contracts so that we don't have to worry about if we can't have a meeting. Just accept the contracts for the last third year. Because I don't think we did that back in July.
That's correct. It doesn't hurt anything to go ahead and take your vote for renewing those 2, but we did talk about tabling other action for 1 month, which would imply that we would have a meeting in a month,
Yeah,
just
Yeah.
for what it's worth.
yeah. I think we should have a meeting and talk about that so that we dedicate those dollars to something else.
Well,
Instead of letting it hang.
why don't we do that? We'll have a December meeting that gives us a chance to review the southbound board issue, and we'll also look at the vinyl on the 2 northbounds.
I want to wait till Carla comes back in.
Well, and when we or I get the quotes on southbound options, it's going to be the same 2 companies. Maybe we could just ask them, we're thinking about renewing the other one. Can you give us a quote on what it would be to put the vinyl up? And maybe we don't put the vinyl up until June or whatever, but
Yeah.
at least we'd have the quote in hand before we sign on the bottom line on the
Yep,
renewal.
that's fine.
It was about $300.
Difference? Yeah.
300 per sign?
No,
No, that's for Lamar, is what she had.
yeah. And they gave us a break, but I think the other one gave us a break too because it was over 6. Anyway, I'd like to make a motion that we continue our contract with both Lamar for the third year of that, and under the same motion, the one for Drury.
I second that motion.
So motion to continue the contract with Lamar and Drury.
And
For
Drury
the third year.
for the third year.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We will then, at the December meeting, talk about the vinyl on those 2 signs. Sandal will be getting a quote for what it would cost to do new vinyl, and also the southbound.
Options. Mike, I already have the contact name at Lamar, but I'll need to get with you about the contact name at Drury. I know you told me before, but it's been a long time, so
I know.
you can let me know.
Yeah.
It
I'll
won't
let
be
you know.
today.
I can't find it,
Okay, very good.
I would tell you it's in my phone, but I've had 2 phones since.
Is there any other business that needs to come before the commission?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Second by Kathy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Everyone have a great
Did you
Thanksgiving.
welcome our 2?